Looks like we got a no heat call to deal with today, guys. So this is a 13-ton Lennox unit here. Dual heat, variable speed motor, all that fun stuff. The complaint is, of course, it's not heating in part of the store. Now this unit and that other 13-ton unit right there are basically doing the same thing. That one, I have it narrowed down to a programming issue from the energy management company, so they're going to call me back and get that dealt with. However, this unit, though, has a couple of weird issues. I just got here a little bit ago to this unit and just opened it up. Now, if we look at our Prodigy board, our first alarm is S52, which is our blower pressure switch. Let's see, S52 is right here. So it's our airflow switch. And let me show you right where that's at. Let's walk over here. Open up our giant blower door. That blower switch right down there is S52. All right. Now, real quick, as you can tell, our belt's fine. It rotates. Just a minute ago, I put this through a blower test, which I'll just do again just to be sure, but I put it through a blower test without issue. So we might just have a faulty pressure switch, but let's keep on scrolling. Whoops, this one, S2, off on alarm 8 and 147. Alarm 8 I know is the blower switch issue. It's what they call strike 3 on the blower switch. Alarm 147 though, doesn't look like I have the book that I need for that. All right, hold on 1 second, guys. Let me go grab this book. All right. Now, luckily, I'm on a rooftop that has a couple of the same units, so when one unit is missing a book, if you're real lucky, you can just go to the unit over there and steal the book out of that unit. So let's see what it says here. Let's see. Troubleshooting is on page 37. Let's see, there is our alarm number 8, strike 3 on blower S52. So basically it's locked out, saying, because it thinks that blower is not moving, which it might not be. We're going to do a quick blower test in a second here. Let's see what alarm 147 is. I'm not really used to alarm 147. It's way back here in the back of the book. All right. 147, outdoor air damper is apparently not modulating. Huh. Well, not sure when that happened because it's way too cold for the economizer to even be thinking about modulating at 30 degrees right now. So we'll reset that and see if it comes back. So let's keep on going, see if anything, no. Now let's go back to data, history, alarms. Let's see if there's any other alarms in here. Nope. Okay, well, I'm going to reset these alarms. Now, the alarm 8, I'm going to have to power it off and power it back on for it to actually clear. Hit save, and our alarms are now cleared. Now, I cleared the alarms because once I start running the machine, I want to make sure if there is an alarm and it repeats that it's not easily overlooked. So that's my logic behind doing that. So now let's go back into service mode, service, select, test, select. We're going to hit our blower. And you can see that jumping up. Over here, our contactor is pulled in. Quick side note, Mr. Chris Stevens pointed this out on his live stream that I almost learned this the hard way. Anytime you have a setup like this, you have your motor control right here, variable speed control, and you'll have the contactor that it basically controls. But then also up here, you'll have a secondary contactor. This contactor is a bypass contactor. So during some PMs, what I and a few other guys probably like to do is just jam in the contactors with a screwdriver. If you were to jam this contactor in right now with this blower going, or if it's just in heat mode or whatever, if you were to jam that contactor in, you would blow up this variable speed control. Now, there's a sick part of my brain that wants to do that just to see what happens, but I don't want to pay for that, so we're not going to do that today. Maybe someday if I can sneak a rooftop unit off a roof into my house, into my garage, we'll try that. Anyway, let's get over here. Let's check and see if our blower is actually moving. It is. Let's see. I'm just going to bump it up to 100%. And we're at 58.8 hertz, it looks like. Now, you guys probably can't see that due to the shutter speed on my camera, but it was at 58.8 hertz. And we're still going. All right. Let's take this out of test mode. We'll just hit back, and see it's still off on alarm 8 and 147. So like I said, we'll have to cycle power before it'll actually clear those alarms. So click, 2, 3, 4, 5, click. And since it's cold in the store, it'll probably come back on in heat mode. And we're going to watch it to see what happens. And we're still watching it. And heat mode is coming on. Yep, we got air blowing out of this one. Air blowing out of the other one. Should start sparking in a second. And then shortly after we ignite, our blower should come on. All right, we have ignition. We have ignition. And if you heard that, our sparking stopped, so that means our unit has verified that the flame has been lit, that it's across the burners, and pretty soon our blower should come on. Now another odd thing is right now it's saying we're in morning warm-up mode, which obviously is not correct. It's not the morning, so I'm not real sure what's up with that. We might have to go in there and check the time that this unit or this Prodigy board has. All right. Not sure if it's even showing up on camera, but we are at about 100% blower speed, 59 hertz right now. Discharge air temperature of 79 and climbing, 80, 81. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to let this run for a little while because it's cold in the store. I might do some light reading on that manual, see if I can't learn something. And then I think I'm going to pull that blower switch out, that little pressure switch. I'm going to pull it out, just make sure the orifices are clean, make sure there's nothing obstructing it. And then we'll just have to go from there until I can repeat the problem. I can't really solve the problem, I suppose. So I'll bring you guys back when I start pulling apart that blower switch, that pressure switch, all right? Let's check our time real quick, guys. So go to main menu. We'll go down to settings, select, general, date and time. So November 8th, 2019. I believe that's correct. Our time though, 17:09, that's 5:09 p.m. So let's adjust that. No. Whoopsie. So we want it at 15:09. There we go. All right, we're off on no demand, and we didn't get a single fault code. So I'm going to double check the time on this other unit while I wait for our energy management company to call us back. Now here is our S52 blower pressure switch. It's mounted right on the outside of our heat exchanger, supply, vent, discharge vent, whatever you want to call it. And it has this little nipple that is mounted right inside the cabinet right there. And when our blower kicks on, really all it does is it senses the pressure inside this heat exchanger supply vent. And with that pressure going down into the tube inside this switch, there's a rubber membrane inside this that will expand. I forget what it is, like a 1/16 or 1/8 of an inch or something, and it'll close this switch. And that, of course, will tell our Prodigy board that the blower is indeed working and we can continue to do whatever it is we're doing. Now, just a quick note on this. These pressure switches have what I call is a bypass nozzle. I'm sure there's probably an actual technical term for it, but I just call it like a bypass nozzle, because what will happen is air pressure or just air from the blower will go into this tube and it'll fill up this rubber membrane, but it would probably, I don't know, expand or over pressurize the switch if it didn't have this blow through nozzle, this bypass nozzle that lets a little bit of air out. So that's what that does. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these wires off and blow into it and just verify that it does actually close. And then what I'll probably do is I'll probably just end up quoting to replace this, because it seems like maybe it's just having an intermittent issue. It's working fine now for some reason, but I don't know, whatever's causing it's intermittent. So I'm going to quote to replace that, and hopefully that'll solve their problems for the winter heating season. But in the meantime, I'm going to take this over to my meter and blow on it for a while. Well, guys, it's been about a week and a half or so since that last clip you watched. The quote I submitted for a new pressure switch was approved. Right here is our S52 pressure switch, part number, right there, 59W40. So we're going to install that, but first I want to check to see if this is tripped again on the S52 blower switch fault code. So we're going to go into data. Let me start over from the beginning here. So here's our main screen. Go to main menu, go to data, hit select, history, select, alarms, select. So it looks like we haven't had any alarms since, which is strange, because this unit's been running the entire time I've been waiting for the quote to be approved, and we had apparently a faulty or intermittently failing pressure switch. So I was kind of expecting to have another fault code, but I guess that's not the case. So anyway, I'm going to swap out this pressure switch, and yeah, we'll go from there. I think what I might do, since this particular customer has a national account with Lennox, I can get to the top dogs in tech support. So I might call them and just pick their brain for a few minutes, see what they have to say about this entire situation. So, but I'll bring you along in just a few minutes, all right, guys? First things first, make sure your disconnect is off. Make sure you have no power. Now you can just check it with a meter. I'm more or less just concerned about that indoor blower motor kicking on while I have my face nearby it, because I don't want to get my beard yanked off by a giant blower wheel. There's our pressure switch. Alright, tube off there. Swap this out real quick, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tear this switch apart because I'm curious to know what's inside there. I think there's a rubber diaphragm inside of it, but I'm not 100% sure by any means. Let's see, how am I going to do this with one hand? Nope. So I just got off the phone with Lennox tech support, and real quick before I forget everything they told me, I wanted to kind of share it with you. So this pressure switch right here is the old one that I pulled out of there. Now that's probably, in all honesty, the second or third one that I've replaced. So I decided to call Lennox and see if there's a known ongoing issue with maybe the manufacturer of those pressure switches or whatnot. But apparently there isn't. Tech support said that it's more likely due to when the unit was installed, it wasn't commissioned properly, and when they did a building air balance test, if they even did one properly, what they should have done is balance the air and set the CFMs up properly so that even in its lowest mode, the CFM doesn't go down below the CFM doesn't go down to the point where the pressure switch isn't closing, if that makes sense. Because what we believe is going on, because again, that unit over there was doing the same thing, what we believe is going on is, since these two units are programmed to continuously circulate air, and when they get a call to circulate air, they're set up to circulate that air at the lowest setting. Because again, it's a VRF, so they're programmed to circulate air at the lowest setting. Now, at that lowest setting, there's a chance that the CFMs that is moving aren't enough to satisfy that pressure switch. This pressure switch needs to be satisfied in 16 seconds or it goes off on a code 5. And then in 5 minutes it resets itself and it tries again. And if the second time that switch isn't satisfied in 16 seconds, it goes into, again, a code 5, and then it does it one more time. And after the third time, it goes into a code 8 and it locks the machine out of doing anything. And then they call me and I come up here and I try to figure out what's going on. So aside from trying to balance the building and adjusting the CFMs and airflow and everything, and the multitudes of exhausts that they have on this roof, which I am neither trained or equipped to do that. The other thing the tech support guy told me is just check your belt tension. Check the motor pulley, make sure it's make sure the belt's not loose, make sure the motor pulley isn't opened up all the way. Now, I'm not a big proponent of just adjusting motor pulleys all willy-nilly because, again, you do mess with the airflow balance. But I am going to look at the motor pulley in just a second here. So let's make sure we're off before we do that, because, again, safety first. All right. So we got this nice tension arm on here. The belt was just replaced. I mean, I don't have a whole lot of tension on. I mean, I don't have a whole lot of deflection on that belt. It's pretty tight. Motor pulley, it's not opened up all the way. Tech support said if this motor pulley is opened up all the way, in combination of the building possibly not being balanced, that could lead to low CFMs and an unsatisfied pressure switch. All right, guys, here's a look at our pressure switch. Now, it didn't want to come apart, but I wanted it to come apart, and it looks like I won. So, I've never had one of these apart before, but looks like it's just a rubber membrane in there that moves up and down. I want to see what kind of contacts they have underneath this thing. Oh, so that's our little pressure dome. Our contacts are in there, huh? Let me get two hands on this real quick, guys. There we go. Just took a little bit more coercing. So, this part is that part right there. Sits right inside that switch. We can flip this over. So it'll sit just like that. And this little, whatever you call it, diaphragm would sit inside like that, and as the air pressure was going down through the supply duct, it would actually suck in, close like so. You can hear it clicking, and then obviously when there's no air pressure, it's just going to back off, and the spring that's inside this little switch right down there is going to force this plunger back up. See if I can get this to focus here. Just the tiniest little contacts in there, but it looks like it's okay. I don't see a real issue with this switch, so I think if anything they probably just have, like tech support was saying, they probably just have an air balance issue, and this unit maybe wasn't set up properly in the beginning, wasn't commissioned properly to handle or to satisfy this pressure switch with the lowest setting of CFMs. But I am not an airflow expert, an airflow technician. I do not balance buildings. I do not do any of that. So even going this far into theorizing what I believe happened is a little bit outside of my realm. But hey, I'm a curious guy. And sometimes when you're curious about stuff, you got to smash it, take it apart, and then form theories and ideas of what happened. So anyways, guys, we are back up and running here. I'm all set for today. I'm going to get out of here because it's cold out and it looks like it might rain. So take it easy, guys. Thanks for watching. Hit that like and subscribe button for me, and I will see you on the next one, all right?